Africa on trial. Are we black or are we Africans? Why are we called black, not Africans? We're not here to force anyone to be called something that they are not. We need to choose, who are we? What are we? This history of us being here and be called black has been orchestrated with the Europeans, who forced us into slavery, torture us, degrading us, in the process of making us less of a human, taking some of our brothers and sisters into slavery, into captivity, keeping them forcibly and force them to work for free as slaves. And still there is slavery that is going on. That's another subject for another day, but today we're looking into the question, are we black or are we Africans? In that time, Africans, the ones that were taken away from Africa to work hard labor for their masters, the ones that captured them, the one that bought them, the ones that took them from the motherland, in the process of being forced to work, they had to make sure that they should see themselves as nothing and someone without an ambition. They had to create a system whereby they had to destroy everything that they believe in, everything that they see its worth, everything that they think they are, and tell them that you're nothing, you're not Africans, you're just black. And they started calling them Negroes. Generation after generation, these people were being confused not to understand who they were. These people were confused to forget where they're coming from. These people were confused by telling them that they don't belong to any race, they don't belong to any group of people. They were not even Africans. They did not have a culture. They did not have anything that were of their own significance. They want to keep them in that space so that they should not have an alternative but just to save the masters and to die there. And they called them black. In the process, everything changed. Started accepting. They could see that they were not black. They could see that they were not animals. They could see, but the situation, the circumstances were forcing them to accept and embrace that for them to live. Because every time when they were trying to fight against the system, they were being killed, they were being tortured. They had to accept just for a day, just to live by, even though they were in slavery. If someone calls you black and you accept it, you should know that they're trying to tell you that you are a slave, but in a polite way. They're trying to tell you that you're nothing, you're just another dog. That's why sometimes when they can call a black person black, they call them monkeys. That's why sometimes when they cannot call you monkeys, they want to call you Negroes, because they're trying, it's a system that was created. How come someone they call black, they call Negro, then later on they call people of color? What does it mean, people of color? I've never even understand that term, because that term does not reflect anything. People of color, what does it mean? Does it mean that the black people are people of color? Does it mean that Africans are people of color? Does it mean Africans are colored and they are black and that's why they're people of color? They just, what's the confusion? Why can't we just, and now later on they've started saying no, we've changed. Letter B on the black will have a small, it's not going to be a capital B, it will be a small b, so that it does not depict much of. Why are they trying to silence something that they called us, instead of just quitting it and accepting that this was not the truth, this wasn't the reality, you are not black, you are Africans, we move on? Why is it that the Asians are called the Asians, the Indians are called the Indians, and Africans are called black? Why is it that we as Africans, we don't see that this is not the truth? Even Jesse Jackson in 1980, around that time, he said we are not black, we are African Americans. Jesse Jackson realized the fact that he had an identity, he had a place where he was coming from, where his ancestors were, and that was Africa. And from that time, then they changed again from the same Negro, from the same black person, from the black person to African American. So the question is, if in America they are called African Americans, why are we not embracing that in our own continent, Africa, where life begins? We are still using a wrong term, accepting things that are not true. We can see it with our own eyes that we are not black, we are Africans, but still yet we wanna still stick to the slavery name that was given to us. We were Africans before slavery. Slavery ended, slavery was abolished. Why can't we go and take our place and call ourselves who we really are? We are Africans. We should not accept to be called black. It's a word that is trying to make less of us. It's a word that was created to make us look as we are nothing. We are not nothing. We will never be nothing. Africa will never be nothing. As a continent that has provided life for so long in the world, it's supposed to be honored. We're supposed to demand respect, to inherit what's ours as Africans. We are not black. I'm not black. I'm not going to accept the term that was used against us to make less of us, to make us look not important, to make us look like we're nothing as an African. am not black. I am an African. Define me with my color, that's racism. Define me with my continent, that's my identity. You have to call me by my name. Don't call me with something that you think I look like. We know the colors. We've seen the colors. I've never been black. I am an African. My African brothers and sisters, it's time we start denying things that are not. I'll give you an example of America. They are still facing racism in America at its deepest, at its highest level, because they've not realized themselves. They've never realized who they are as people. I'm talking about the brothers and sisters who are now called the African Americans. They have to come together in one unity on a national level to understand that they should not call and accept to be called black, because the mentality of those who are calling them black, they still have the mentality of them being the bosses. They're trying to tell them that you are still black and we are the bosses. We have the right to do whatever we can do on you and you have nothing to say. We've seen it. They've been killing people from that time when they're trying to be together, when they're trying to say, no, we can live together as people. Up until now, they've been killing black people. They've been killing them because they still accepting that they are black, and yet they know they are not. Jesse Jackson said, we're no longer going to accept to be called black. We are African American. Now, because of that fact, please, brothers and sisters in America, you should embrace that. Take that as your identity. That's gonna give you a proper position for you to demand your respect, because the name black is associated with your past, which was the time of slavery, and because of that they're gonna use the same type of strategy. They're gonna use the same term to treat you, because you know there's no way you can change. If you want your name to be a fool, you cannot stand in front of people and expect people to respect you. They will see you as a fool, as the name suggests, until you change your name, until you realize your identity. Then people will start respecting you. So this comes again to us as Africans, the ones in the continent of Africa, the ones in the motherland. We need to understand that being called black wherever we are, they are trying to take control of us. No wonder Africa, up until now, we are unable to develop. We are unable to take our position at the table because they always see us as black. They don't see us as Africa. And we are still accepting the same notion that we are black, and yet we are expecting to sit at a table. Slaves were not sitting on the table. Slaves were eating from the ground. Slaves were eating the food that was even 1 week or 2 weeks old. The rotten food. Our forefathers, our ancestors, those were the food that they were eating. Now, as they will be calling you black and you saying, no, I want to sit on the table. Are you crazy? There is no way that will happen. That will only happen if you demand, if we stand together and say, no, we're not black, we're Africans. Africans, they need their seat on the table. That will be the only way we can be on the table. We are becoming useless people because of the name that they've given us, and we've embraced the name as the reality. We should refuse to accept things that we know they have a bad history on our side. I'll give you an example. The names that we give our children sometimes can even bring a curse to the child. So we should know that the names that we are associating ourselves with are not the good names that we should know ourselves with. God bless this continent as Africa. He wanted it to be an African continent. He wanted the people inside it to be African. I'm not trying to preach. I'm not trying to be a pastor. I'm not trying to be a priest. All I'm saying is, if we are confused, everything is confused. The whole process is compromised. Now, us, instead of being Africans, we are being black. Being black in a continent that has a different name, that means we are strangers. No wonder what we do in Africa does not add up to be like we are citizens of this continent. The name has to complement the place. Our name have to complement where we're coming from, and that will bring blessings. The only way for us to move forward, first of all, is to define who we are. There is no way Africans, yes, we might talk about Africans, we must come together, but we're not gonna be able to do that if we're not gonna define ourselves, if we're not gonna embrace, if we're not gonna weigh the identity of being an African. The only way for us to stand with other races is for us to accept who we are. The Asians are called the Asians. The Europeans are called Europeans. We Africans, we should be called Africans. Then we'll be able to sit on that big table. Only then we'll be able to to talk and others listen, not them talk and we listen and do the job. They accepted, yes, that slavery should end, but as long as the name black still stands, they will still use that to their own advantage. Brothers and sisters, wherever you are, I don't care if you deny this. When you realize who you are, that's when you can start demanding things that you want in your life to be done. Things how we can rebuild ourselves, how we can change the continent we so love. Africa on Trial. My name is Gamma Coffee. I urge you, wherever you are as Africans, to start thinking straight, to start considering the challenges of our times. Are you black or are you an African? We need to talk about these things. We need to know where we're coming from. We have to identify ourselves. Then there's no way, if we deny to identify ourselves, then still we're demanding respect. Who does that? There's no way. You don't know yourself, then you want people to respect you. How are they going to respect you if you don't even know where you're coming from, if you have no roots? We need to learn to know what we're made of, how precious, how wonderful, fearful we are as Africans, coming from great kings and queens of this world, but still we are accepting to be called black. Africa on Trial. Are we black or are we African? Yes, we keep on complaining. Right now we have the Black Lives Matters, and I'm saying this as a human being, as an individual. I don't think that's a way to address our issues. We're still clinging to a wrong name, trying to defend their lives. We are still fighting for freedom. We're still trying to fight for our rights of life, but still we are using a wrong name. All I'm trying to say is, you are not black. You've never been black. Black was given to you so that they could use you for free without getting paid. Black was given to you so that you can be called a slave and nothing. You could be called a dog or whatever they feel like they could do with you as they pleased. But you are not black. You are an African. And do you identify yourself wherever you are and say African life matters? Then the movement, I'm telling you, it will carry the weight that it needs. It will add up to a continent. It will add up to who we are, and you will give access to a lot of people to join the movement, because the movement itself has a lot of potential. The movement itself speaks for who we are, but the name that was given to the movement, it's taking us back to where we were. It's not where we want to be. We have to move forward. African life matters. That's why we're saying we are Africans. If you treat us wrong, then as Africans we have to stand together without being called Negroes, without being called people of color, without being called blacks. Then it will be a big movement. If we have accepted to be black, then we should accept to be monkeys. If you have accepted to be black, then you should accept to be a dog, because if you are black, then you should accept to be a slave. And now you're trying to fight the other rights and yet leaving this out of the equation, which does not help at all. We need to know, why are we fighting? We need to have a strategy. Africans, let's have a strategy. Let's fight this war to the end in a proper way, with a proper plan. Identify ourselves in a battlefield. Then it will help us to know who is my enemy. It will help us to know who are my brothers and sisters, who am I with in the battlefield. So if you define yourself that you're black and the other African is saying, no, I'm not black, I am an African, we've already been separated. I, for one, am not going to stand for the notion of I am black. I'm not saying the lives that have been taken carelessly, aimlessly, are not worthy to be fought for. The lives that have been taken are taken from our side. They are the lives of the Africans. Africans are the ones who have lost. Why? Because we've accepted to be black. We've accepted to be called slaves. That's the equation. So it's a silent way of being polite to us, calling us black, but in brackets they're putting away slavery silently. So whenever they call you black, your mind should tell you you're a slave. Whenever they call you black, your mind should tell you that they're calling you a Negro. We need to know that these things, they were created systematically to defeat and destroy us. We are not black. We are not slaves. We are not Negroes. We are not people of color. We are Africans. If you want, keep all those names to yourself. This subject pushes me to a point where it sometimes makes me feel a little bit edgy. And Africa on Trial, the only program that we have to face the reality, the only program that, I need to take a glass of water before I continue, because this subject right here is the key to open the doors of our opportunities. It's the key subject for us to know who we are. It's the only thing that once we deny it, then we should not ask for the rest of the other things. Everything is packed in one. As Africans, we need to know that the continent is Africa. We are Africans. The two comes together. And if we say we are black, we've already messed up the whole process. We have to come to a point of saying this is it. We've grabbed it with two hands and we say we're gonna use this to identify us. We're gonna use this to tell people who we are. We're gonna demand this because this is who we are and you should call us by this. Africa on Trial. Gamma Kof is my name. Now, the last thing that I just want to address quickly before I go on. I understand when you're in America or somewhere else outside the continent of Africa, you might be called something else. But when you are in Africa, that's another case. That's another issue. And that one is a serious one. My brothers and sisters in South Africa, please don't let anyone call you black South Africans. You are not black South Africans. They are starting taking things slowly by slowly, and the moment you are accepting it, before you know it, you end up again in apartheid. Before you know it, you will be again in the same system that you have fought for, the same system that our brothers and sisters sacrificed and lives were taken, the same system that killed most of our brothers and sisters in the continent of Africa. If you start accepting to be called black South Africans, brothers and sisters, Africa, it's not where us as Africans should be called with a color. We are Africans and we will be Africans no matter how you feel. Stay, keep it to yourself. We are not tolerating, we are not accepting your names. We are Africans. So brothers and sisters, I don't know about other countries in Africa, but I've heard this on the news. Brothers and sisters, it's time to wake up. Apartheid is still roaring in their stomach. Apartheid, they can vomit it anytime and it will mess things up on our side as Africans. Brothers and sisters, wherever you are, if you look at yourself, you are Africans, and let's embrace that because that's our identity. We are Africans from the African continent. We love our continent and we want to protect it. We want to use it to our own greater good. We want to see things change in our lives. It starts now. It starts with us, and this is the time, and this is us. We are Africans. I love Africa because I am an African. Kwame Nkrumah said that, and I do too, to say I'm not an African because I was born in Africa. I am an African because Africa was born in me. So no matter what you do, no matter where you are, no matter what you're trying to do to me, you're not gonna take away that, because that defines who I am. I am an African. I am Africa. I love my continent. Brothers and sisters, wherever you are, thanks for watching Africa on Trial, the episode 2 of Are We Black or Are We Africans? So by now, let's start defining who we are. If you accept to be black, you should also accept to be a slave. If you accept to be black, you should also accept to be called a Negro. If you accept to be an African, you should consider yourself a king or a queen, and you should find your place on the table. We should find our space and eat with all the other races together. We are not a subject of any other race. See you next week as we'll be concluding the last chapter of Are We Black or Are We Africans? Love you all. Keep well. See you next week. Same time, same place.